This video is one of our A-STEM series that describe the impacts of emerging environmental problems in our daily life. Here we discuss how hurricane increased toxic mercury in riverine water and the health risk on fish consumption. Mercury is a chemical element with the symbol of Hg and is the only metallic element that is liquid at room temperature. Mercury occurs abundantly in the environment as mineral cinnabars and as impurities in other minerals. Mercury can be emitted to the atmosphere for a wide range of combustion processes, including volcano eruption, coal burning, for electricity, and wildfire. Once emitted, mercury can transport through the air to circulate the entire planet. At some point, mercury in air can be absorbed by plants or get into soil and water through rainfall. In general, plants can absorb mercury from the environment. Therefore, forest has been considered an important natural pathway to remove the atmospheric mercury. Forest is known as mercury sink. In another word, forest can accumulate lots of mercury. The coastal wetland forest along the southeastern U.S. from Texas to North Carolina is one of the hotspots for mercury sink. Importantly, the southeastern sinks are the most hurricane-prone areas in the U.S. What happens to those sink mercury if hurricanes hit these forests? In 2015 and 2016, coastal South Carolina experienced two major hurricanes in 2 consecutive years almost at the same time. These two Category 4 and 5 hurricanes poured lots of rainwater in short time, inundating many coastal areas and resulting lots of damage. The 2015 catastrophic flood was a 1,000-year deluge. It could only happen one in 1,000 years. To understand the influence of hurricanes on mercury in coastal forests, scientists at Clemson University and University of North Carolina at Greensboro sampled along the PD and Waccamaw River before, during, and after the landfalls of these two hurricanes. Groundwater samples were collected in the months of October to November, representing 3 periods of hydrograph in a rainstorm. Rising limb is the time when the river discharge rises due to increase of rainfall. Falling limb is the water discharge decrease after the hurricane passes or precipitation stops. Base flow is the time when the river discharge is back to normal flow condition. Water samples were brought back to the laboratory after filtering to remove particles. Samples were processed to analyze total mercury and methylmercury. Methylmercury is the most toxic form of mercury. It is the form found in fish. All samples would need to be preserved by chemical reagents. For total mercury analysis, scientists added reagents and heated the samples in a water bath to destroy all substance holding mercury. This method is called digestion. After digestion steps, water samples were analyzed by a highly sensitive instrument called cold vapor atomic fluorescence spectroscopy for the amount of mercury in the water sample. Results of the study have been published in a professional journal. An increase of rainfall increased river discharge. This period is called rising limb. The concentration of mercury in this time was relatively low. As hurricane passed, river continuously discharged water storage in the watershed. Water flow decreased with time. This period is called falling limb. Importantly, we observed increase of mercury in the period of falling limb, as shown the gray points in the figure. To determine the source of mercury, scientists conducted a special chemical analysis named isotopic analysis. Results demonstrated that the increase of mercury in the river was not from the rainfall but was mainly from the soil and litter in the forest. What can these newly released mercury in coastal ecosystem affect our daily life? Mercury can have different forms and not all forms of mercury are equally toxic. In general, mercury in rain or air is inorganic mercury and is not very toxic. When this mercury seeps into the soil and the sediment, bacteria with HgCa genes can transform an organic mercury to a highly toxic form named as methylmercury. This toxic methylmercury can go up the food chain from bacteria to water flea, shrimps, small fish, and to large fish. When going up each food chain layer, more methylmercury accumulates in the animals. Therefore, there can be a very highly dangerous level of methylmercury in the high predator fish and animals, even in remote forest regions. And fish can eat shrimps, and this can cause biomagnification, meaning increase in methylmercury level during feeding. Therefore, at the higher level of the food chain, there is a greater risk of mercury poisoning for human consumption of fish and other seafood products. Our results confirm that hurricane released Hg from the coastal forest and increased the concentration in coastal riverine water. Therefore, there is a higher risk for fish in the area by accumulate more toxic mercury. Consuming this fish will be a great health concern. Humans manually can take up the methylmercury through eating fish and seafood products. Methylmercury accumulates in our body, and methylmercury is only very slowly removed from our body. Mercury overdose can affect our health. People with mercury poisoning might experience hearing and speech difficulties, lack of coordination, and vision changes. Mercury can also damage our liver and kidney and interfere our reproduction and cardiovascular system. So can we eat fish? How do we know which fish is safe to eat? In general, each state health department issues a guideline for fish consumption. You can search it up through the internet. Let's consider the state of South Carolina as an example. You can go to scdhec.gov and look for fish consumption advisory in your location to see which type and amount of fish is safe to eat per week. There is an updated report of fish consumption advisory for each month. When you click on the report, you can look for your local water bodies, species of fish, and advisory for your food safety.